When people discuss the greatest superheroes of all time, it's safe to say that the same names will come up time and time again. Superman, Batman, the Hulk, Catwoman, just to name a few. But there's one guy that doesn't even get a look in. Why is that? Is it so that I can stir controversy before winning the audience around? A superhero that's been confined to the dustbins of history, despite the pioneering efforts of CGI animated characters in a weekly live-action TV show. If you haven't guessed already from the title of the video, I'm talking about Ace Lightning. Despite sounding like something from Greece, Ace Lightning was actually a TV show that ran from 2002 to 2005, running for, yes, you've guessed it, 2 seasons. The show, starring many people you've never heard of, was about video game characters coming to life after a bolt of lightning, or you might say Ace bolt of lightning, strikes a boy's house whilst he's playing the fictional version of the Ace Lightning video game, which looks much better than the real Ace Lightning video game, but we'll talk more about that later. The show had perhaps one of the greatest intros of all time. Assuming I don't get copyright cooked for this, just listen to this.
It's hard to take a stand, it's hard to do what's right, no matter how scared you are, you have to stand and fight.
Despite a bop like that, FourSquare, much like almost everyone else involved with this show, seems to have disappeared into oblivion.
By the 9 divines, assault!
The main protagonist of the show was Mark Hollander, despite who the show was named after. I can't imagine many people would want to watch Mark Hollander, the TV show. Who are we kidding? I mean, this basically was Mark Hollander, the TV show, wasn't it? Now, Mark was supposed to be 13 in the show, despite looking a couple of years older.
There's looking older, and then there's that.
Mark was a British kid forced to move to America with his parents, which proves that you don't have to abandon your only child when you move abroad. You can also take them with you. But that's enough childhood trauma to pad out the runtime of the video, isn't it? Believe it or not, but the show was actually named after the titular character, Ace Lightning. A point I believe I've already made so far. But we'll make it again. Ace's main power move is to shoot lightning from his gauntlets on his wrists. He also has superhuman strength, but what really makes him stand out from other superheroes is his ability to fly. I mean, even Burnt-Faced Man can't do that. Ace also has to find all 7 pieces of the Amulet of Zor, because, well, maybe it's best if I let Ace explain that himself.
You want to talk reality, kid? All right, here goes. Somewhere out there, Lord Fear is plotting to get my piece of the amulet, and if we don't stop him and send him back to prison in the 6th dimension, it is the end of this world.
In addition to a successful TV show, there was also an Ace Lightning video game, released on both the PS2 and Game Boy Advance. As always, the PS2 version was way better than the Game Boy version, despite my cousin's insistence that both consoles offer, quote, about the same level of enjoyment. Now, I know they both look like shit, but have a look at them both back to back. Are you really telling me that you'd rather have the Game Boy Advance version, which was the one I was fucking lumbered with? As soon as the game starts, you immediately hear a worse bastardisation of music than is Christmas Day Bro by Jake Paul.
Look how they massacred my boy.
This sounds like what we used to do in 2006 at school, before the advent of smartphones, when you couldn't afford 10 quid for an album. So what you used to do is you'd whack open Google Video, play whatever song you wanted, break out your flip phone, put it next to the speakers, and record it like that. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll do that now, and we'll see whether my version, or the video game version, has a better quality. So just listen.
It's hard to take a stand, it's hard to do what's right, no matter how scared you are.
I can't believe it, guys. I mean, somehow putting your phone next to your laptop and recording the audio produces clearer sound quality than the official Ace Lightning video game. At least the Game Boy Advance one. Both the game and the TV show have the same goal. Find all 7 pieces of the Amulet of Zor and send the opposing side to prison in the 6th dimension. In Lord Fear's case, doing so would apparently result in him taking over the entire world. That's right, the guy that struggles to defeat a superhero that relies on electricity to survive, despite outnumbering the heroes by at least, it's got to be at least 5 to 1, isn't it? Would rule the world. Believe it or not, but in the show, something much more important than defeating Lord Fear occurs. Now you're thinking, the Doctorand, don't be ridiculous, yeah? What could possibly be more important than stopping Lord Fear from taking over the world? Well, it's the love triangle between Brett, Samantha and Mark, that's what, so, think again before you criticise. When the show begins, Samantha is dating Brett, but begins falling for Mark almost immediately. In fact, by the time we reach episode 6, Samantha has already dumped Brett to pursue a relationship with Mark. You can only wonder what it was about the mysterious British guy that first attracted her to him. So they begin a rocky relationship, which lasts until April Fool's Day, when Lady Illusion disguises herself as Mark and attends school at him, whilst Mark is sick. Great day to get sick on, innit? Whilst the ice was already razor thin towards Mark, Lady Illusion's behaviour as Mark not only melts the ice, but evaporates all the water underneath, leading Samantha to dump the poor, barely able to speak bastard. In theory, this implies Brett has won. But has he? Yeah? Well, let's compare them. Now, since the dawn of time, humanity has pondered life's greatest mysteries. Why are we here? Why am I specifically here? There's something like a 1 in 43 trillion chance of me existing, and yet here I am. Did I really win the race to the egg? Yeah? And if so, did I win it on pure speed? Or did I pull off some incredible, strategy? And perhaps the most important question of all time, who should Samantha from Ace Lightning be with? Well, let's compare Mark and Brett and find out. Let's start with Mark. Now, Mark's British, meaning his accent is super effective on the presumably American Samantha, despite Shadi Simmons being Canadian, much like most, if not all, of the people from Conestoga Hills. Another thing Mark has going for him is that he's mysterious, much like us quiet people, and those of us who do so little with our lives that we never have anything to talk about. Oh, where's Mark fucking off to now? None of your business, Sam. Yeah? Respect his privacy. Besides, he's off saving the world if you really must know. Yeah? Yet another thing Mark has going for him. Mark is also comfortable enough about who he is, that in episode 10, he disguises himself as a girl, albeit reluctantly, to save Samantha, even almost being recognised by his parents at one point. So, if that's not heroism. Now, Mark also lives next door to Sam, ensuring no lengthy walks of shame the next morning. If we're scraping a barrel, and if all else fails, then Mark has also got being different going for him. After all, he's from a different culture, isn't he? So, exotic. If anything, that's... Now we've discussed Mark, let's see what Brett has going for him. So why should Samantha be with Brett? Like Mark, Brett has a lot going for him. For example, he's boring, which... No, hang on. No, I must have pretended to write a lot more for him than... Well, I'll tell you one thing he has got going for him, and it's that he, unlike Mark, is emotionally available. Yeah? How many points did I give Mark there? Was it 6? Yeah? Well, if it was 6, then I think being emotionally available has got to be worth, what? Oh, 7. At least 7 points, isn't it? Yeah. And besides, if Samantha hypothetically invited them both to the mall, it'd be a yes every single bastard time from Brett. Yeah? Whereas Mark would probably have to turn her down in favour of saving Ace from, I don't know, being put in the fucking cotton candy machine by Lord Fear or something like that. Yeah. As we can see, using this very scientific method, Brett clearly is a better fit for Samantha by an undeniable victory margin of 7-6. Another reason to root for Brett arrives in episode 13. Mark, due to his saving the world activities, has let his grades slip at school, leading to him being grounded. And it also leads to perhaps one of the funniest lines ever written for film or television in the last 130 years.
A D in English? I mean, he is English.
Samantha was probably more shocked than anybody else when Mark actually had a decent reason for not being able to, as they say in the Canadian part of the USA, hang out. After taking credit for Sparks' work, Mark is briefly allowed to leave the house. Whilst asking Samantha to decide between himself and Mark is a short conversation, as Mark appears, says all of 3 words, and he has stolen Samantha's heart. Now look at Brett's face here, you have to feel sorry for him, don't you? I mean, he can't compete with Mark and he knows it, that is the look of a man whose heart has not only been ripped to pieces, the love of his life has stuck the heart back together again, and then she's ripped it up all over again in front of him. Bloody hell, mate. Chin up, lad. Yeah. You're the lucky one, if anything, mate. The love of my life is fucking dead. Anyway, hashtag justice for Brett. Having come down firmly on Brett's side, it's safe to say that I was happy with my decision to root for the underdog. That was until episode 19, when Brett makes one of the most offensive remarks I've ever heard.
Is it just me, or do all English kids act strange?
Oh, I see how it is. Oh, well, I could be just as nasty. I could go, oh, well, isn't it weird how all Americans sound Canadian? I don't do that. So, I'm back on Team Mark here. A shame, because I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. You've let me down, you've let yourself down, and more importantly, you've let the fans down. Yeah? Disappointing. Despite Brett's borderline racist remark, it's not long before we're rooting for him again, when in Season 2, Brett finds himself the victim in an abusive relationship with Heather. We see her force him to carry 80 bags for a school field trip, obsess about Mark right in front of him, and just overall treat him like shit. It's safe to say that Brett deserves better than Heather, who is arguably the main antagonist of Season 2. Whatever Kilobyte says. Again, hashtag justice for Brett. Despite rooting for Brett again, in spite of his xenophobic remark, which I'm willing to chalk up as a childish mistake, it's undeniable that Mark is a much better fit for Samantha than Brett. Despite breaking up with him on April Fool's Day, which wasn't an April Fool's Day prank, they still clearly had feelings for each other. Any hopes of a Samantha reunion are quashed in episode 35, however, when Samantha announces an ominous new boyfriend called Jeremy, which she says has been going on for, in her words, only for a while. How long's a fucking while, love? Yeah? You know what my theory is? Yeah? There is no Jeremy. Yeah? Because sometimes the claims will be false. Like when Mark presumably lied about meeting Prince William in order to impress the girls in the first episode of the series. Clearly Samantha, having seen Mark's interested in Kat, was trying to pave the way for Mark and Kat to be together in order for her to pursue a long-distance relationship with Brett. Once he breaks up with Heather, who he's clearly unhappy with, Heather, whose personality took a severe nosedive in Season 2. Now you might be wondering why I'm making such a big deal out of a love triangle from a show nobody's heard of that went off the air over 20 years ago. I'm bloody wondering the same thing, mate. Well, to paraphrase Ross from Friends, it's the only thing I've got going on in my life. Now other people will tell you that what matters in life is settling down, getting married, getting a mortgage, yeah, having kids. Well, that's bollocks, yeah? What really matters is an obscure TV show from your childhood that everybody's bloody forgotten about. Yeah? That's what really matters in life, and don't let anyone tell you anything else. The show ran from 2002 to 2004, but Series 2 didn't actually air in the UK until 2005, which Wikipedia explains as being for, quote, unknown reasons. It's great when you get clear answers like that about a show that was cancelled 21 years ago, that barely anyone remembers, and that most of the cast are either retired from acting or are dead. Season 2 introduces a new villain, Kilobyte, who looks exactly like Sid from Toy Story, if he was an adult, who overthrows Lord Fear. Don't worry though, as Lord Fear is only rested. Besides, yeah, Kilobyte's evil laugh is nothing compared to Lord Fear's. The show begins with Mark playing the version of the Ace Lightning video game that we wish we'd gotten in the real world. The game announces that he's about to reach level 7. Now Mark claims to have, quote, never reached level 7, which is made out to be an oh shit, why is that sort of moment, when in reality he's probably just never heard of it because he's never made that far into the game, really, yeah. The joke's on you if you thought that, however, as not long after this, the infamous bolt of lightning strikes Mark's house, allowing the video game characters to come to life. On the villain side, Lord Fear, Pigface, Lady Illusion, Staffhead, the Rat, and Anvil. On the hero side, we have Ace Lightning, and that's it. Starting to think he's a bit outnumbered here. After being defeated by Ace Lightning, despite outnumbering him 6-1, the villains make their way to a local carnival, and we're expected to believe that nobody noticed them on the way. When they reach the carnival, they sort of decide, fuck it, this'll do, and they strong-arm the owner, Duff Kent, into letting them stay. During research for this video, I read a comment that said that Duff Kent's name is a combination of two things from The Simpsons. Another thing this show has in common with The Simpsons is that it never reveals the state that the show is set in. But based on all of the Canadian accents in the show, we can only assume it's Alaska. According to Wikipedia, Duff was shanghaied into helping Lord Fear. How did that word come about? Yeah? I mean, you don't do that with other places, do you? Oh, I wasn't going to come out tonight, but I've sort of been Liverpooled into it. Yeah? Oh, sorry, honey, I would have come home earlier, but I was sort of Manchestered into working for another hour. Whilst bantering with Lord Fear, we are given a brief glimpse into perhaps the most underused romance in the history of television.
Well, I ain't hiring, and I sure ain't hiring in the middle of the night. Now clear out of here, the two of you. And don't make me use this.
Smash! Anvil smash him!
The next morning, after Ace breaks his bedroom windows and drains his dad's car battery, leaving him unable to get to work that morning, Mark leaves for school, immediately meeting Samantha, who takes his mind off the fact that Ace Lightning could bankrupt his family, if only for a few seconds. Samantha becomes his love interest in future episodes, as I've discussed already.
Which I think I've covered in some depth already.
On the bus, no cunt allows Mark to sit next to them, except for Chuck. Chuck soon becomes Mark's best friend, and he's called Chuck because, well, he keeps chucking up. With his large appetite, he is the good guy's equivalent to Pigface, only completely different. After a montage featuring a song you've never heard of before, and probably never will again, in which Mark and Ace both miss home, Mark quickly befriends Chuck, who gives him advice on beating the game, which you have all now lost. After a couple of minutes, Hateful Heather and an unnamed friend approach Mark, and he immediately lies to them.
I have a bet with my friend. Have you ever met the Queen?
No. But I met Prince William.
I'm going to have to call bullshit on that one. I don't think he's met Prince William at all. I think the only reason he's saying he has is to impress girls. Yeah, and, and try and fit in. It's his first day after all. So, you know what's more impressive to girls in line? Honesty. So, besides, the population of the UK was, about 59.37 million in 2002, when this episode was released. So, is he really saying that he just happened to bump into the then 19, 20-year-old Prince William? So, nice try, but, myth busted on this occasion. So, try again next time. At home, Ace is busy impressing Mark in his backyard before asking to see a demonstration of Mark's abilities. Mark explains to him that he doesn't have any powers, on account of the fact that he's fucking human. This is when Ace comes out with one of the most inspirational quotes of all time.
But why me? I'm not a hero.
I'll tell you something, kid. There are all kinds of heroes out there. I mean, look at you. You went somewhere today you'd never been before. Met all kinds of strangers. Now that took real courage.
Sure, Mark might not have any superpowers, but he went to a new school. He had to deal with being isolated from most, if not all, of the school. And as anyone who has ever experienced isolation will know, that's a superpower in itself. So, Ace Lightning is one of those shows that leaves you with more questions than answers. He performed most, if not all, the music used in the show. How the fuck is Mark's cousin Ashley Canadian? Now, it's well established that both Mark and his parents are British. So, what's going on here? Did his aunt or uncle move to the US or Canada at some point? I don't think it's ever stated in the show. Ashley obviously lives too far away for her parents to come with her because it's unaffordable, basically. That makes sense, but why is this never specified in the show? Because the natural conclusion to me would be that she must be from the UK, right? Since Mark and his parents are, right? So if that's the case, why does she have a Canadian or American accent? Is she Lady Illusion? Fucking hell, that's an avenue we haven't explored yet. Is Ashley from Ace Lightning actually Lady Illusion in disguise? It would explain why she doesn't sound British. So, in Season 1, when Ace says, "I'd give a gigabyte to know where they're going," does that imply that there's an enemy a million times as powerful as Kilobyte, the main antagonist of Season 2? With almost all of the cast being Canadian, wouldn't it have been easier to set the show in Canada? Or is this another situation like that film, The Shop Around the Corner, which, although was set in Hungary, seemed to hire no Hungarians whatsoever? And they say that immigration's a problem now. When villains are defeated, how long do they have to stay in their hideout? For example, how long does Pigface have to stay in the bin? How long does Anvil have to stay in the Test Your Strength machine? After her heroics in episode 4, why wasn't Mrs. Kutcher used more often by the Lightning Knights, since they could clearly use someone with her powers? What happened between Miss Kutcher and Mr. Chesborough after the romance was teased in the Season 1 finale? And then, as Space Ice would say, it's never brought up again. Did the YouTuber /scientist Thunderfoot steal his username from this show? Why can't Zip and Snips talk in Season 2? Why does Heather hate Mark so much when he cheers for Kat during the basketball game, even though she and Kat are on the same team? Not to mention the confusing thing where... And finally, how the fuck could Duff Kent afford all the changes to the carnival in Season 2? Honestly, this little shit, he complains the whole of the first season that he couldn't sell any ice cream with her around, and even said that his cronies were scaring off his customers. Plus, we see Pigface eating his ice cream stock several times. So, yet he seems to have enough money to introduce a mini golf course, as well as the London Eye, which Kilobyte spawns from. I mean, honestly, where are you getting the money, lad? Despite all of these flaws, Ace Lightning is actually a perfect show, which you can't criticise in any way. With its pioneering efforts of including CGI characters in a weekly live-action TV show, there's an argument to be made that Ace Lightning was more important to the TV and film industries than the Lumiere brothers of the 1890s. As anyone who has ever made any form of animation whatsoever will know, animation can take a heck of a long time. So thank you to the CGI animators. We Alfs appreciate your hard work, even if everyone else has forgotten about you. So what happened to the cast of the show? This can be answered by an old reliable. A 3-word statement that has served me well over the course of my life. I don't know. Although there have been a couple of success stories, such as Megan Park, who played Chuck's girlfriend that the show likes to forget about half the time, Jessica, directing a film called My Old Arse with Aubrey Plaza, or Cal Dodd, Random Virus, who now voices Wolverine. These seem to be the exception to the rule, with most of the cast either retiring from acting completely, or now only getting very minor roles. A good example is Duff Kent, Philip Williams, who appeared in a small role in Fargo's Season 2 finale. A role so small that I'd failed to even notice it was him on the first viewing. Even FourSquare's music seems to get the same amount of views as your average The Doctorand video on YouTube. According to his Twitter account, which has been inactive since 2018, Tom Wansey became a teacher. Having seen what kids are like, I can only offer Mr. Wansey my sincerest condolences if this is true. Mr. Chesborough, or the Alex Jones of the Ace Lightning universe, R.D. Reed, appeared in the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead, where his character was severely underused. As the film was released in 2004, this reminds us that the chance of Ace Lightning landing R.D. the role in Dawn of the Dead are extremely low, but never zero. So, it's possible, guys. Shadia Simmons retired from acting to begin an acting studio, Star Acting Studios. I'm repeating too many words there, aren't I? Of which there seems to be no update since 2020, which we hope isn't another victim of COVID. Now, a lot of you might be wondering what happened to Petra Wildgoose, who plays Heather, whose character's personality, as I've already stated, took a severe nosedive in Season 2. Well, that's actually Dr. Wildgoose to you, so show a bit of bloody respect, will you? No, she's not married to YouTube user The Doctorand, but she has, in fact, become a nurse. Now, I know we've made a lot of jokes and, messed around a lot in this video. I want to actually take a moment here to pay tribute to the nurses around the world. These people have to deal with situations that a lot of people can't imagine, including cleaners, yet they do it, despite often awful pay and working conditions. Yet we demonise them for going on strike, when all they got during the fucking pandemic was a fucking clap.
It fucking gets you fucking down!
Now, I like to think that Petra saw one of the scripts for Season 2, saw how awful her character had become, and looked at herself in the mirror and said, I never want to play a character as evil as that again, deciding to immediately retire from acting and study to become a nurse, to at least do some good in the universe, unlike Heather. Mark Minardi, or Chuck, seems to have retired from acting, or at least is appearing in roles so small they don't have an IMDb page. But whatever you do, don't look at his Twitter account, as I haven't been this disappointed since the H3 Content Cop. Why must all of our childhood and early adulthood heroes let us down, eh, guys? Jesus. In summary, although a few are still acting, such as Ace Lightning's voice actor Michael Riley and Ashley Laggett, who played Kat, nice rhyming, and a lot of us will remember Devon Anderson, or Pete, from Ka-Ching. What happened to him, for fuck's sake? Many have sadly retired from acting, or passed away. A lot of their careers might have petered out. Well, I'm working on a film script, so, and anyone that was involved with Ace Lightning is, more than welcome to be involved with it if it ever gets off the ground. So, now call me a nostalgic bastard if you want, but it will be set in America, but it doesn't necessarily have to be filmed in America, so, which I know these guys have a lot of experience in, so, important. Hit me up if you're interested, yeah? That's all I'll say. Now, before I end the video, I don't understand why FourSquare weren't bigger than they were. Just listen to their song, Outdone.
We've been in tunnels before.
Sound, that guitar solo
against my salad
is
almost orgasmic.
Now, I also wanted to say a few thank yous to a few scholars of the Ace Lightning community. First, I'd like to say thank you to William Hayward, painter, who has made many Ace Lightning videos on his YouTube channel, including several interviews with cast and crew involved with the show. I particularly enjoyed his interview with Brendan Carrera, who played Brett. #Justice for Brett. Because, you see, you don't just stop after doing it once, you got to keep the fight going, guys, come on. He's also actually taught me about a lot of stuff about Ace Lightning that I didn't even know about. Action figures! You have fucking action figures? Why didn't I know about this? I tell you what, 10-year-old me was going through some shit. He could have done with knowing about them. I heard they were KFC, though. I think that was the problem. I was always a fucking McFuckoffs kid, So, I'd also like to thank Retro Reviews and Johnson and Noddy, who have both uploaded the entirety of the show to their YouTube channels. All 39 episodes, guys. Fucking hell. Without legends like this, Ace Lightning might well be considered lost media today, much like the Shrek 2 4-player co-op Let's Play that I took part in when I was 17. I'd recommend watching on Retro Reviews channel, as they actually allow comments on their videos, which is always good. Before them, all we had in the English-speaking world was a guy who pointed his camcorder at the TV and filmed the episode like that, holding his camcorder the whole time, as he didn't even have access to a tripod. So, wonder what happened to that guy, eh? Fuck yeah. Wonder if he's still making videos. And one thing I never understood is why this never took off as a meme.
What am I supposed to do with this?
That would have been a great meme format, I think. Yeah, don't you think, guys? Come on. I'm disappointed, guys. You know, drink it. You know, you got a free fucking drink there. What are you doing? What do you mean? What do I do with this? Honestly, not rocket science, is it? I mean.